Be me, Sharon, 52, devoted mother and lifelong advocate for women's empowerment. Spent my entire adult life making sure my daughter Helen would never fall into the trap of dependence on men. Raised her with the understanding that a woman's worth comes from her own achievements, not from serving others. Taught her that marriage is a patriarchal institution designed to subjugate women. Made sure she understood that having children young would derail her career prospects. Helen is 28 now, successful marketing director at a tech company, lives in her own apartment, makes good money, seems to have absorbed everything I taught her, or so I thought. Get a call from Helen on a Tuesday evening. Mom, we need to talk. Can you come over? Her voice sounds strange, kind of tense. Drive over to her place, expecting maybe she got a promotion or something. Walk into her apartment and she's pacing around like a caged animal. Helen, honey, what's wrong? You look upset. She stops, pacing, and stares at me with this look I've never seen before, pure fury. Upset? Mom, I'm beyond upset. I'm fucking livid. Whoa, Helen never talks to me like this. Language, Helen. What's brought this on? She laughs, but it's not a happy laugh. Language? Are you serious right now? After what you've done to me? I'm genuinely confused at this point. What I've done? Helen, I don't understand. She starts pacing again, running her hands through her hair. Do you know what happened today, Mom? Do you want to know what finally broke me? I sit down on her couch, trying to process this outburst. Tell me, sweetie. Don't call me sweetie, not after this. Okay, she's really angry about something. My coworker Jennifer brought her 6-month-old baby to the office today for a quick visit during her maternity leave. Helen's voice starts getting louder. And you know what I felt when I held that baby? Pure, overwhelming joy. The kind of happiness I haven't felt in years. I'm starting to get worried about where this is going. That's natural, Helen. Biological responses don't mean, shut up. Just shut up and let me finish. I've never heard Helen talk to me like this in her entire life. She's shaking with anger. I looked at that perfect little face and I realized something terrible, Mom, something that made me want to throw up. She stops pacing and looks directly at me. I realize that I've been living a lie for 28 fucking years. Helen, please, calm down and explain. Calm down? You want me to calm down? She's screaming now, tears starting to form in her eyes. I realize today that what I want more than anything in this world is to be a mother, a full-time mother. I want to stay home with my children and take care of my family. I feel like I've been punched in the stomach. This cannot be happening, not after everything I've taught her. Helen, you're just having an emotional response to seeing a baby. This is exactly the kind of biological manipulation that keeps women... Stop. Just stop with your fucking lectures for once in your life. She's crying now, but still furious. I want to be a housewife, Mom. I want to cook dinner for my husband and pack lunches for my kids and help with homework and be there when they get home from school. This is my worst nightmare. Everything I worked for, everything I taught her. Helen, you're not thinking clearly. You have a career, you have independence. Independence, is that what you call this empty, meaningless existence? She gestures around her sterile apartment. I come home every night to nothing. No family, no children, no husband who loves me. Just work emails and take out containers. Helen, you're successful. You're financially secure. You don't need a man to... I want a man, Mom. I want a husband who protects me and provides for me and loves me. She's sobbing now, but her voice is still full of rage. I want to depend on someone. I want to be taken care of. I want to surrender control and trust someone else to lead. Feel like the room is spinning. This is everything I spent decades warning her against. You're just going through a phase. Career women sometimes feel this biological urge. A phase? I'm 28 years old. How long can a phase last? She wipes her eyes but keeps glaring at me. Do you want to know the really sick part, Mom? I felt this way for years. But I was too afraid to admit it because I knew you'd react exactly like this. Helen, sweetie, You've been conditioned by patriarchal messages in the media. Oh my God, listen to yourself. Everything that doesn't fit your worldview is conditioning or manipulation or patriarchy. She starts pacing again, more aggressively this time. What if I told you that working 60 hours a week for a corporation that doesn't give a shit about me feels more like slavery than being a housewife ever could? That's different, Helen. That's economic independence. That's economic independence. I'm a slave to my mortgage and my student loans and my car payments. How is that independence? She's making points I don't want to hear. At least you're not dependent on a man who could leave you like Dad left you. That hits like a slap across the face. Helen sees my expression and doesn't stop. Oh, did that hurt? Good. Because your bitterness about Dad leaving has poisoned my entire fucking life. I can't believe she's saying this. Helen, I protected you from making my mistakes. Protected me? Protected me? She's screaming again. You isolated me from everything that could make me happy because you couldn't handle your own failures. That's not true. I gave you opportunities I never had. Opportunities to what? To be miserable and alone like you. That cuts deep. I'm not miserable, Helen. I'm fulfilled by my work and my activism. Your activism? You mean your constant complaining about men and marriage and traditional families. She laughs bitterly. Do you know what your activism actually accomplished, Mom? It made me hate myself for wanting normal things. Trying to regain control of this conversation. There's nothing wrong with wanting children, Helen. But you can't have children and still maintain your career. I don't want to maintain my career. I hate my fucking career. She throws a pillow across the room. I hate getting up at 6 a.m. to sit in traffic so I can spend 9 hours in a cube farm, creating marketing materials for products nobody needs. Helen, you're being dramatic. You have a good job. A good job that makes me want to die every single day. She stops pacing and sits down across from me. Her voice gets quieter, but somehow more intense. Do you want to know what I think about every morning when my alarm goes off, Mom? I don't want to know, but I nod. I think about how much I'd rather be making breakfast for my children. I think about how I'd rather be pregnant than in another fucking team meeting. Helen, pregnancy isn't stop. Just stop trying to correct my feelings. She leans forward, staring directly at me. I think about coming home to a husband who's happy to see me instead of coming home to an empty apartment where I eat dinner alone while watching Netflix. Helen, you could date. You could find someone. Could I, Mom? Really? Because every time I've shown interest in a man, you found something wrong with him. She starts counting on her fingers. Remember David? He was too traditional. Remember Jacob? He showed signs of wanting to control me. Remember James? He was threatened by my success. Those men weren't right for her. Helen, those men would have held you back. From what? From this amazing life I'm living now? She gestures around her empty apartment again. From being lonely and exhausted and spiritually dead. You're not spiritually dead, Helen. You're a strong, independent woman. I'm fucking miserable. Can you hear that? I am miserable. She gets up and starts pacing again. And the worst part is that you convinced me my misery was somehow noble, that suffering for the cause of feminism made me virtuous. Helen, feminism isn't about suffering. It's about choice. Choice? What choice did you give me? She turns to face me, tears streaming down her face. You never presented traditional marriage as a valid option. You never told me that some women are actually happier taking care of their families than climbing corporate ladders. Because I didn't want you to limit yourself. Limit myself? I've limited myself to a life I hate. She's sobbing now, but still talking. I've spent 10 years climbing a ladder that leads to nothing I actually want. Helen, you're successful. You make good money. Money I don't need because I have no family to spend it on. You could save for retirement, travel, pursue hobbies. I don't want to travel alone, Mom. I don't want hobbies. I want a husband and children. Feel like everything I've worked for is crumbling. Helen, you're romanticizing traditional marriage. The reality is what? That I might be happy? She's staring at me with pure contempt now. God forbid your daughter might actually be happy in a way you don't approve of. I just want what's best for you, what's best for me, or what validates your choices. That question hangs in the air like an accusation. Helen, I sacrificed everything to make sure you'd have opportunities you chose for me, opportunities that align with your political beliefs. She sits back down, looking exhausted. Do you know what it's like to spend your whole life pretending to want things you don't actually want? Helen, you're confused right now. I'm confused? I've been confused for 28 years because you taught me to ignore my own instincts. Your instincts aren't always right, Helen. Society conditions women to want society. You are society, Mom. You conditioned me. She's on her feet again, pointing at me. You spent my entire childhood telling me that wanting to be a wife and mother meant I was weak and brainwashed, because those desires often come from patriarchal conditioning. Or maybe they come from being a fucking woman. She throws another pillow, this one hitting the wall. Maybe some women are actually biologically designed to want families and nurturing relationships. Helen, biological determinism is what? Wrong? Dangerous? Anti-feminist? She laughs hysterically. Everything natural about being a woman is anti-feminist according to you. That's not true. Feminism is about expanding options. Bullshit. Your feminism is about eliminating options you don't like. Trying to stay calm, but failing. Helen, I've seen what happens to women who depend on men. I've lived it. You've lived one version of it. One bad experience with Dad. She's pacing again, gesturing wildly. But instead of healing from that experience, you decided to poison me against ever having what you couldn't have. I didn't poison you. You absolutely poisoned me. She stops pacing and gets in my face. You made me afraid of my own desires. You made me ashamed of wanting love and protection and family. Helen, you can have love and family without giving up your independence. What if I want to give up my independence? The question hits like a bomb. What if surrendering to someone I trust feels like freedom instead of oppression? Cannot process what I'm hearing. Helen, you don't understand what you're saying. I understand perfectly. I want to submit to a man I love. I want him to make decisions and protect me and provide for me. Feel physically sick hearing this. That's not submission, Helen. That's partnership. No, it's submission. And I want it. She sees my horrified expression and smiles coldly. Does that terrify you, Mom? That your perfectly indoctrinated daughter wants exactly what you spent decades warning her against? Helen, you're not thinking clearly about the risks. The risks of what? Being happy? She starts laughing again, but it's bitter and angry. The risks of having a purpose that doesn't require a corporate performance review. You have purpose in your career. My career is meaningless. I sell shit to people who don't need it. She kicks a magazine across the floor. I want to raise human beings, Mom. I want to shape the next generation. I want to create a loving home. You can do that and still work. I don't want to do both. Why is that so hard for you to understand? Feel like I'm losing her completely. Helen, financial dependence makes women vulnerable. Emotional isolation makes women miserable. She sits down heavily on the couch. I'd rather risk being hurt in a loving relationship than guarantee being alone forever. You won't be alone forever. You'll find someone who supports your career. I don't want someone who supports my career. I want someone who wants to take care of me. Every word she says contradicts everything I taught her. Helen, that kind of thinking leads to what? Happiness? Love? Fulfillment? She's crying again, but her voice is steady. Do you know what your thinking has led to, Mom? Decades of lying to myself about what I actually want. I never asked you to lie. You made it impossible to tell the truth. She gets up and walks to the window. Every time I expressed any interest in traditional feminine things, you shut it down. I was protecting you from limiting beliefs. You were projecting your trauma onto me. She doesn't turn around when she says this. Your bad marriage doesn't mean all traditional marriages are bad. Statistics show that women in traditional marriages are more likely to. Statistics about other people, not about me. She finally turns around. I'm not those women, Mom. I'm not you. That last part stings. I know you're not me, Helen. Do you? Because you've spent my entire life trying to make me into a copy of you. Feeling defensive now. I wanted you to have opportunities I didn't have. No. You wanted to live vicariously through me. She's completely calm now, which is somehow worse than the screaming. You wanted me to succeed where you felt like you failed. That's not true. Isn't it? She walks back over and sits down across from me. When was the last time you asked me what I actually wanted out of life? Try to think, but can't come up with an answer. I've always supported your goals. Goals you helped me form. Goals you approved of. She leans back in her chair. When I was 12 and said I wanted to have 6 kids someday, what did you say? Remember that conversation vaguely. I told you to think about your education first. You told me that wanting lots of kids was internalized misogyny. She's right, I did say that. A 12-year-old doesn't understand the implications. A 12-year-old knew what would make her happy. She's staring at me with that intense look again. But you taught me not to trust that knowledge. Helen, I was trying to make sure you considered all your options, all the options you approved of. She gets up again, but this time she just stands there. Do you remember when I was 16 and started dating Michael? Michael was her first serious boyfriend. He was a nice boy. He was a nice boy who wanted to get married after high school. Remember being horrified by that idea. You were too young to think about marriage. Says who? You? She crosses her arms. Lots of people get married young and stay married their whole lives. The statistics on young marriages, fuck the statistics, Mom. Some things can't be measured by data. She starts pacing again, but slower this time. You know what Michael wanted? He wanted to work hard and provide for a family while his wife raised their children. That's an outdated model, Helen. That's a beautiful model. She turns to look at me. He had a vision of a life I actually wanted, but you convinced me it was oppressive. Early marriage can limit a woman's educational opportunities. What if education isn't the most important thing in life? The question catches me off guard. Education is crucial for independence. Independence isn't the most important thing in life either. She sits back down. Love is. Family is. Connection is. Feeling like I'm losing this argument completely. Helen, you need to be practical about your future. I've been practical for 10 years. I'm miserable. She looks at me with something like pity. Your practicality has made me absolutely fucking miserable. That's not fair, Helen. Fair. You want to talk about fair. Her voice is getting loud again. Is it fair that I spent my 20s avoiding committed relationships because you taught me they were traps? I wanted you to focus on your career. Is it fair that I'm 28 with no husband and no children because I've been waiting for some perfect feminist relationship that doesn't exist? Helen, those relationships do exist. Where? Show me one. She's standing now, gesturing wildly. Show me one marriage where both people have demanding careers and children and they're all actually happy. There are many examples. Names, Mom. Give me names of people we actually know. Trying to think of examples, but struggling. Your colleague Janet manages to balance. Janet is exhausted all the time and hasn't had sex with her husband in 6 months. She told me so herself. That's probably true. Janet does seem stressed. Marriage is work, Helen. It requires compromise. Why does the woman always have to be the one compromising? She's got a point there. You taught me that traditional marriages require women to sacrifice everything. But what about modern marriages? Modern marriages are more equitable. Are they? Really? She sits back down, looking tired. Because from what I can see, modern marriages just require women to do everything men used to do, plus everything women always did. That's actually a fair observation. Helen, there are men who genuinely share domestic responsibilities. How many have you introduced me to? Realize I can't answer that. The men you've encouraged me to date are all career-focused guys who expect their wives to be equal financial contributors and primary caregivers. She's right about that, too. That's not all men, Helen. It's the men you think I should date. She leans forward. What if I want a man who wants to take care of me financially so I can take care of our family emotionally? The idea makes me physically uncomfortable. Helen, that arrangement leaves you vulnerable. This arrangement leaves me miserable. She gestures around her apartment again. I'd rather be vulnerable and loved than safe and alone. You're not going to be alone forever, aren't I? She gets up and walks to her kitchen. I'm 28, Mom. My fertility is already declining. You have plenty of time. For what? To spend 5 more years building a career I hate while my eggs die. She's leaning against the counter now. To wait for some mythical feminist man who wants an equal partnership with a woman who doesn't want equality. Feeling desperate to make her understand. Helen, you're talking about giving up everything you've worked for. Everything you worked for. She's completely calm again. I never wanted any of this, Mom. I wanted a husband and babies and a garden and homemade cookies. Those things seem important now, but they've always seemed important to me. You just never listened. She walks back over and sits down. Do you remember when I was 8 and used to play house all the time? Most children play house. I always wanted to be the mommy, never the doctor or the lawyer or the CEO. She's right, she did always want to play the traditional female role. Children's games don't necessarily predict, or maybe they do. She looks at me with something like sadness now. Maybe I've known what I wanted since I was 8 years old, and you've spent 20 years trying to talk me out of it. Helen, 8-year-olds don't understand the complexities. What complexities? The complexity of loving someone and being loved back? She shakes her head. The complexity of creating life and nurturing it. Trying one more time to reach her. Helen, I understand you're feeling emotional about seeing that baby today, but this isn't about today, Mom. Today just forced me to admit what I've been denying for years. She stands up again. I want to quit my job. I want to find a traditional man who wants a traditional wife. Feel like the world is ending. Helen, please just think about this for a few weeks. I've been thinking about it for years. I'm done thinking. She walks to the door. I'm going to start living the life I actually want instead of the life you want for me. Helen, you're making a mistake. The mistake was listening to you for this long. She opens the door. I think you should go now, Mom. Helen, we need to talk about this more. No, we don't. We've talked enough. Her voice is firm but not angry anymore. I'm going to be a housewife and a mother. You can either accept that or not. Standing at her doorway, feeling completely lost. Helen, I love you. I just want what's best for you. Then support my choice. She's holding the door open, waiting for me to leave, even if it's not the choice you would make. Walk out into the hallway in a daze. 28 years of careful guidance, undone. In one conversation. Everything I taught her about independence and self-reliance, rejected. She wants exactly what I spent decades warning her against. Feel like I've failed completely as a mother. Or maybe I succeeded too well at something I shouldn't have been doing in the first place. Drive home wondering how I got it all so wrong, wondering if Helen has been miserable this whole time while I congratulated myself on raising a strong, independent woman. Wondering if my own trauma turned me into the kind of mother who couldn't see her daughter's real needs. Wondering if Helen is right and I projected my fears onto her instead of letting her find her own path. Get home to my empty house and realize that Helen's apartment felt exactly like my life. Successful, independent, and completely fucking empty.